We've all heard that saying, a dog is a person's best friend. And if you have a dog in your house, and I'm sure you know what I'm saying is true. These animals are some of the most compassionate and social animals in the world. They love getting attention, but they also enjoy showing affection to those that they care about. And hey, if you ever find yourself in trouble, they're also eager to do whatever it takes to get you out of any dangerous situation. In today's video, we'll be looking at 10 dogs that saved people's lives. These dogs went through all sorts of trouble, including putting their own lives at risk, just so they could save the lives of their human friends. This list is full of inspiring stories, and I'm sure it's going to cheer you up and make sure you want to be friends with a dog. That is, if you aren't already. Number 10. The Alaskan Guide. You should never underestimate a dog's weird behavior. If you notice something's odd with your dog, or if they're trying to get your attention, you should definitely follow their lead and see where they take you. That's exactly what happened when a police officer found this German Shepherd in the middle of the road. The dog's name was Buddy, and he was desperately trying to find someone in this remote location. Buddy finally found this police officer, who started to follow him, and you can see that this is what Buddy wanted. Every now and then he would turn around and look, as if trying to make sure that he was still being followed. Moments later, the dog finally made it to a house that was on fire, and that wasn't all. Buddy's owner was inside that house and he was injured, so they definitely needed to find someone to help them out. The owner was lucky enough to have a dog as smart as Buddy to go get help, and Buddy was lucky to find someone in what seemed to be the middle of nowhere. Number 9. The Dog and the Maze. And here's a video that's quite the opposite to the previous one. Instead of a dog running in the middle of nowhere, we have a dog leading an ambulance through a very complex set of streets that can easily get people confused. The owner of this dog was at a neighbor's house collecting bottles when he suddenly collapsed. Someone called an ambulance, but in the meantime, the dog went to the streets and looked for help. When the dog spotted the ambulance, he immediately started running back to his owner. The ambulance followed the dog and found a crowd around the unconscious man. Now, you could argue that the ambulance would have gotten there sooner or later, but it's really nice to see that the dog was out there trying to make sure that his owner received the help that he needed. Number 8. Fighting for the money. It's impressive to see how dogs can separate the bad guys from the good guys. They're really good at telling when someone has bad intentions that could potentially harm them or their owners. This video was recorded at a gas station in Portland where allegedly a man was intending to rob the station. However, the guy working at the gas station refused to give the money to the robber. After all, this guy worked hard for this money, so of course he didn't want to give it up just like that. The best part is that the guy at the station wasn't alone. He had a loyal friend by his side, a good-sized pit bull boxer mix. As the robber kept insisting on taking the money, the dog lunged at him and apparently even went to bite the robber on the face. The robber had to give up, and no one in their right mind would want to insist on messing with a dog this big, especially if the dog is eager to bite your face. Number 7. AHERO dogs against the clock. When it comes to strokes, time is indeed everything. Every second counts, and timely medical assistance can save someone's life. That's why things can get a bit complicated when someone has a stroke and there's no one around to help them out. But that was not the case of this patient, as she was in the good company of her dogs, Bella and Sadie. As soon as she felt discomfort, she said, "Mommy needs help," and her dogs were gone, but for a very good reason. A security camera on the house's front door caught the moment in which the dogs ran outside to get a neighbor to come help them out. The neighbors followed the dogs and immediately called for medical help as soon as she saw the dog's owner was having a stroke. The lady got the help she needed and the dogs were recognized as heroes. One of the most impressive things about this story is that the door of this house was usually locked. This day, however, the door had stayed open. That's why the dogs were able to go in and out of the house without a problem. Number 6. Dog in the pond. And here's a little change. This time the one in danger is the dog and the one who came to the rescue was a human. But still, it's worth noting how loyal a dog can be. Just watch. The video starts with 3 huskies hanging out by a fish pond in what appears to be some sort of pet shop. The dogs decide to leave, but the last one doesn't make it. Instead, this one fell inside the pond and started struggling. After a while, the other 2 dogs came back to check on their buddy. I guess they figured out that something must have happened to him since he wasn't following them. When they saw their friend inside the pond, they decided to try and help him out. But of course, they didn't have a way to do it. Another dog shows up and still, the dog in the pond can't find a way to get out. At the end of the video, a guy comes over and pulls the dog out of the pond without a problem. He must have heard something as all the dogs were gathering around the pond in their efforts to help. Maybe the dogs didn't manage to get their friend out, but you can see that they genuinely cared. They stayed by his side until he was able to get out. Number 5. The guide dog and the subway tracks. Sometimes dogs can't do much for us other than stay by our side until things get better. That was the case of Cecil Williams, a man who accidentally fell on the tracks of the New York subway, even though his guide dog Orlando was trying hard to keep him from falling. Eyewitnesses claimed that Orlando was doing everything he could to stop Cecil, but the man was feeling faint and couldn't keep himself from falling. Desperate Orlando couldn't do much, so he joined Cecil on the tracks and laid right next to him when the subway was approaching. Luckily, they were on the trough, so that kept them from getting injured. And the story got more emotional after the incident, because Cecil was about to lose health insurance benefits, which included getting help from Orlando. However, lots of kind people joined forces and did a fundraiser to make sure that Orlando could stay by Cecil's side. Number 4. A hero named SAKO. A family fishing trip in British Columbia turned into tragedy when a car went down a steep hill and resulted in a deadly crash. The only survivors were teenager Joseph Phillips Garcia and his dog SAKO. Joseph was devastated to lose his aunt and cousin, but on top of that he also had a broken femur and a damaged collarbone that made it almost impossible for him to move. The good thing was that Joseph was not alone in this. His dog SAKO was by his side and helped the guy get a creek to get water, which was vital for survival. SAKO also laid on top of Joseph to keep him warm at night and even fought coyotes that were threatening their lives. Surely this was a sad day for Joseph, but it was also very comforting for him to go through all this with SAKO by his side. Number 3. Home Alone. It was a regular day at the house of 9-year-old Shane Schaefer when all of a sudden he heard the familiar sound of jingling keys in the front door. Shane didn't think much of it. He thought it was his mom who had left for a few minutes to pick up the other kids. But Shane got a very big surprise when he saw that the person going in was a burglar. The stranger chased Shane upstairs and the kid started yelling for help. And good thing he did, because he was not alone after all. His pit bull was ready to help and attack the intruder. When the burglar noticed that the dog wasn't going to let him get away with his intentions, he had to run away. Once the boy felt safe, he ran outside and asked a neighbor for help. They couldn't catch the criminal, but they were able to call the police and the boy's mom. I'm sure she regrets having left her son without any adults at home, but I'm sure she's glad there was a dog there to help him. Now it's time for the day's best pick. Pools can be scary when you have toddlers or babies around. If you're not watching them, they could easily jump in the pool and drown. Luckily, dogs can be very helpful in these situations. The picture I chose for today shows a dog rescuing a child who's apparently drowning. Let's check out some stories that involve dogs and people who are drowning with number 2. The dog and the drowning kid. It'd be quite odd to have a proper video of a kid drowning while a dog helps. If there is someone recording such a video, then this person could also help the kid, am I right? So unless it's a security camera or anything of that sort, we can't expect to have this type of video. However, many people have recorded videos of kids pretending to drown while their dog watches, and the reactions have been amazing. In this video, you can see how the dog runs around the pool, desperately trying to save the kid from drowning. Of course, this kid was just pretending, and the kid was actually safe. But now we know that we can count on this dog to help out in case someone around him starts to drown. Before we move on, do me a favor. My analytics show that only about 15% of you watching are actually subscribed. Come on guys, what's up with that? Can you guys please hit the subscribe button? You guys watch my videos every day anyway, so you might as well subscribe and keep up to date with every video we put out. Number 1. Kabang. At the top of the list, we have a dog that became very famous in the Philippines. Her name is Kabang, and she's a mixed Aspen, which is a local breed from the streets of this Asian country. What made Kabang so famous was the fact that she saved 2 children from a motorcycle accident that could have ended their lives. It all happened in 2011 when a 9-year-old girl and her 3-year-old sister decided to cross a street, unaware that a motorcycle was coming their way. But Kabang was watching and wasted no time. In just a matter of seconds, Kabang jumped and knocked the motorcycle driver off. Both the driver and the girls only suffered minor bruises from the accidents, and Kabang, of course, wasn't trying to get anyone hurt. She just wanted to make sure that the girls weren't hit by the bike. However, this heroic action did have consequences for Kabang, as she got stuck in the front wheel of the motorcycle and suffered major injuries all over her face. But as the weeks passed, more people became aware of Kabang's story and raised money to help her recover from this terrible incident. Kabang's scars will always remind us of her selflessness and kind actions. Aren't dogs just amazing? What's your favorite dog story? Are there any dog stories you want to share with us today? Let us know in the comment section down below. With all that said and done, that's our video for the day, folks, and I will see you all next time. Later, everybody!